Hey, good morning, folks. Thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. I'm MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. I'll warn you, very ranty already this morning. I already ranted to my wife about news websites, TV websites, and coverage and stuff like that. I ranted to my mom about something, and I've got a weather rant later on. I'm going to try to hold it back. I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm trying to hold it back because we do have a lot of weather to get to. We have the weather situation around Michigan right now. It's a lake effect situation. And then we have what I'm calling a solid snowstorm heading our way for pretty bad timing. Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday, bad timing for travel. But we live in Michigan. That's part of my rant is, hey, let's embrace it. It's one of the reasons why we choose to live here. So let's get on into it, get you all updated so you don't do anything stupid this weekend. Here we go. All right. And I do have my YouTube app open so I can comment here. Kimberly Zeismer, she's like, uh-oh, better buckle up for the weather rant. Yeah, that's a good point. Larry Pusker will talk about when it starts to snow in Sterling Heights. Too early to call for an early spring? Yeah, I think so. All right, here we go. So this is a great map of two weather situations. Lake effect snow in Michigan now. East side of the state, what snow? It's always been that case. That was one of my rants, is that remember, lake effect snow most often is a little more isolated than what our weather maps can show you, can portray to you, okay? So winter storm warnings still continue through Northwest Lower, down through Traverse City, Cadillac, down to Big Rapids, over to the shoreline. The reports on Facebook I'm getting from people there is roads are, as you'd expect, horrible and dangerous. Winter weather advisories around that in the purple, like Grand Rapids, which means varying road conditions. Hey, nothing here at my house. They blew it. Hey, I got a couple inches on the ground over at my house 10 miles away. It's pretty nasty. They were right. I'll hold the rant. It almost surfaced. And then Kalamazoo area over to Holland, Allegan, South Haven, pretty nasty there. Blizzard warning still in effect for the UP. Of course, you live in that quite a bit. Look at the blue to our west. That tells you the story. That's a winter storm watch for the next storm system coming this way. And I'll tell you something, folks. If you want a little weather lesson, this is a classic snow system. Classic with the closed low pressure center. We track where the center goes, then we build the bands of snow forecasts off of that. So stick with me. By the way, I'll be with you today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and happy to do so. I got into this 36 years ago. Sometime, rant almost coming out. I'll calm it down. Sometimes I get a little bit bitchy at my choice. I could have made a lot more money as an engineer. I probably would have already been retired as tight as I am. But I chose it, and it's fun stuff. So here we go. So winter storm watches, Milwaukee, Chicago. That should tell you, if you're watching, that we got to figure out the timing of when you escape Chicago and Milwaukee. No political bent there, and get back here safely. All right, so this is what I like right now, and I have to pick and choose. Hey, go get yourself a cup of coffee, because this might be a long one. I have to pick and choose which model I use at a certain time, and you don't have to do the work, and that's what a human meteorologist can do versus an app. So right now, the best story I have to show you is off of, we're going to start with the European 1 hour output. Okay, so this is today. Northwest winds slowly calming, but the best word I heard to describe this was from the CVS pharmacist. I overheard him. He said, really uncomfortable out there. That's the word today, uncomfortable. Windy, cold, snow showers, Kalkaska to the Traverse City area, Kalamazoo back to the shoreline. That's where the impact is in lower Michigan. Otherwise, it's Michigan, and we can deal with it. Into tomorrow morning, the winds come down. The lake effect diminishes, and we finally, dry out in the snowy areas. I'm going to say by noon tomorrow, maybe, you find some little random bits. Now I'm showing you the map for Friday evening. Great time to escape from Chicago, Milwaukee. Sorry to end the family party a little bit early, but I got a little better option for you. I think what it comes down to is Saturday. Saturday ahead of the storm is a good time to escape and return. I want to see some of the questions here. Rant, watch your warning. I like that, Marjorie. We'll call it a rant. I'm going to upgrade it to a warning because I know it's there. Yes, the Blocky 8311. It's Michigan. Snow flies, but not everywhere, correct. How much snow are we going to get in Sault Ste. Marie, Josh Lee? You are going to be on the very northern edge, and you're probably only a couple of inches with the next storm system. What you would call a sunny day, probably there. Happy Thanksgiving, Arthur Putnam. Thanks for joining in. And good morning to Catherine and Miley Nor 20. Okay, so here we go with the next storm system. Like I told you, it's a classic textbook case. So this is Friday evening. Chicago, Milwaukee, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, dry. Probably a good time. This is Saturday morning at 7 a.m. We won't worry about the first shading of blue. Probably doesn't reach the ground. The second shading of the blue is steady. Roads are cold. We get, accumulation fairly quickly on the roads. And I always say that the first inch is the most dangerous because it's the first inch combined with other idiot drivers, not us, right? Okay, so here we go into Saturday. Let's go to Saturday at noon. Light snow probably starting in the southwest half of lower Michigan early Saturday afternoon. So Saturday morning, if you left Chicago or Milwaukee 8, 9 in the morning, you're probably fine to head back. By the way, if there's background noise, that's my wife making her famous mashed potatoes. Are they made yet? No?
I'm cooking up sweet potato pie.
Oh, the sweet potato pie is being made, and the blueberry pie. Woo! Okay, so let's get back to this. This is... I got to actually do some math in my head because of the time change. This meteorologist take about a month to adjust. Yes, Macomb County, it's coming for you. It's coming for you this winter snow. Okay, so this would be about 5 p.m. Okay, so at 5 p.m. Saturday, it's steady, light snow, maybe Saginaw, probably Lansing, maybe Ann Arbor, definitely Jackson, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, Big Rapids, and Ludington southward. The next shade of blue would be what I would call moderate to heavy snow. And now we're at 7 o'clock Saturday night, so we're snowy by Saturday evening. This is Saturday night. Saturday night, we're very snowy. Areas of moderate snow coming through all of lower Michigan, maybe up to about Traverse City to Alpena. North of that, you'd call it a light snow. See the circular center down there around Champaign, Peoria, Illinois? That is what we will key in on. Will that slip move farther north or farther south. And that, notice classically, the 32-degree line, that's that little red line, goes right through the center or just north of the low pressure center. Not a coincidence. That's the way a lot of winter storms work, is that the 32-degree line goes right through it, and then the snow is just north of it. You got this mixed area for about 60 miles, and then it's all rain in the warm sector. Now we're going through Saturday night, and we wake up Sunday morning, 7 a.m., low pressure center somewhere along the Michigan-Indiana border. Heaviest snow in that situation tends to set up about 60 to 80 miles north of that. So you're in it in Grand Rapids, Muskegon, Ludington, Lansing, Alma, Mount Pleasant, all the Saginaw Bay area. Let's see what we got on questions. Too early for mashed potatoes. Well, that's for later on tonight. This is a process over here at the Torregrossa household, folks. And so, Saturday night, very snowy. Sunday morning, this is, let's go to noon on Sunday. This is noon. Low pressure center in the thumb. That would mean that Detroit, Ann Arbor, St. Clair Shores, St. Clair County would turn to a mix, maybe even rain, lowers the amount immensely in the southeast corner, while it's snowing Flint back to Lansing to Grand Rapids. And then as we go through the early afternoon, this would be 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's winding down and turning into a kind of compact, short-lived lake effect in the southwest corner. So, in other words, and this is Sunday, 7 p.m. In other words, Saturday, once it starts snowing, in other words, Saturday is going to be a mess. I wouldn't really call it Saturday. I'd call it Saturday evening, you know, for us normal Michigan drivers. Saturday night, a mess. Sunday morning, definitely a mess. And Sunday afternoon, the roads don't just instantly improve because we'll be in the cold flow behind it. Temperatures will be in the low 20s. Wind will still be 15, 20 miles an hour at times. So Sunday, I'm going to say, is going to be a pretty dangerous day to travel. You know, when you combine all the cars on the road with all of those not educated people like us, right, on the weather, and then the road conditions and the weather. So that's what I'm trying to get the point across, is get back, not Sunday, get back Saturday. Let's see what else we got. Okay, so now we go to, okay, well, how much snow? So I've picked some things out for you. This is the European model, 24-hour snowfall total. So in the next 24 hours, we still have heavy snow, Kalkaska to Roscommon, also down through Traverse City, Cadillac, Kalamazoo area, probably still looking at another 2 to 4 inches today into tomorrow, tomorrow sunrise or so. Okay, and then here comes the next storm system, already the winter storm watches. So this is a 24-hour snowfall, and I'm going to stop it at Sunday 1 p.m. So this map right here would represent the snowfall off of this model from 1 p.m. Saturday to 1 p.m. Sunday, would encompass most of the snowfall. I'm going to call it a 4 to 7 inch snow. Not a mega storm for us Michiganders, us Great Lakes residents, but it's a solid 4 to 7 inch snow all the way from the southern border, with the exception of the far southeast maybe. In fact, you might get 4 inches and then change over to rain some, and it squeezes down, depending on the track of that low pressure center. And then the 4 to 7 probably extends all the way north past Traverse City to, you know, maybe Petoskey and over to Alpena. And then it, you know, shifts off. Next thing I got for you is the European Ensemble mode. Now remember, I like the Ensemble because it's 50 tweaks of that same model that I just showed you. And I got to pick the maps to give you the story that you need to know. This one's going to be total snowfall, so you're going to get the two storms combined, but we get the Ensemble advantage of the next storm system. Hey, did you like my joke before on Facebook? How do you shut up an Italian? You make them sit on their hands. You know, we can't talk if we're sitting on our hands. All right, so, and that's added comedy, folks, all for free. Where do you get this elsewhere? Uh-oh, Josh Lee's got bad news. Snowblower on retractor and can't even use it. Let's see. Okay, so Ensemble, total snowfall over the next several days. There's your snowfall left for today. I like this. I like this. It shows you Ann Arbor, Detroit, Flint, Saginaw, Bay City. Don't even think about seeing the grass covered. Don't think about where's all this snow. The thumb, you might get it. But again, Roscommon, Grayling, Kalkaska, that's ground zero for the heaviest. It leads over into the Grand Traverse City area, and then the southwest corner, Kalamazoo, back to the lake, you're another 2 to 4 inches. And then we'll watch the next one come through in the Ensemble mode, which we like. This is going to be a total precip, so I can run it all the way through the end of it. And the Ensemble says, you know, I like it. It says 4 to 7 inches. And because it's, remember, it's adding on to what was there. So when you see 10 inches in Kalamazoo, that's 4 to 7 added on to the additional 2 to 4 today. Okay? So, again, not a mega storm. Now, and this is going to be probably the focus of my rant coming up, folks. So if you like rants and you want a weather rant, stick around. But focus is, we're going to look at the GFS model, the US model. We're going to show a US model? Yes. And then rant ensuing a little bit later on. So you're almost updated here before I go into things that make you roll your eyes. So this is the GFS, the US, the NOAA's, the National Weather Service, our model, yours and mine, because it's paid for by taxpayer dollars. You hear it simmering, don't you? But occasionally it's pretty good. In the short term, it's pretty good. And I like it because it shows you not an overblown story. It shows you my 4 to 7 inch thought for most of us. A lot of 5s and 6s. Not a mega storm, but ill-timed on a major travel period. So that's what where we're starting at. Can it change much? Yes. I shouldn't say that it can't. What I would see a change would be in the far southeast. Detroit, Ann Arbor, St. Clair Shores, Monroe, Lambertville. You might inch into the warmer air and say, oh, that wasn't a 4 to 7 inch snow. Finally, and this is, I'm actually going to start my rant with this. I'll start it right now. This will be a mini rant. You know the saying, I just came up with this, by the way, and I pride myself over the last 36 years of innovating ways to communicate meteorology and weather to you. And I've had people come up to me and say, you know, you said this, and it really turned on a light bulb. You know the saying, in it to win it? I just dubbed a new one last night for Michigan. We're in it to winter it. Like it? I'm trademarking it, so you better not steal it from me. So we're in it to winter it. And what do I mean is I'm getting all these questions. When will we have our next week of 40s? 40s? By mid-December? Come on, a week? You're looking for that for a project? You should have done that about a couple weeks ago when I told you to get your winter project done. We don't have a week of 40s coming again. We might have a day of 40. We could have a day of 50, but we don't have a week. And so let's just take a look at the high temperature forecast for the next 16 days. You know, today we're cold. We're 30-ish. We're used to it. Tomorrow, we're highs in the 20s. We're going like, ugh, this is early if this continues. And Saturday, we're below freezing. Sunday, we're right at freezing. Most of your snows occur right about freezing or so. This is Monday, very cold. So this is my theory that, you know, once that storm passes on Sunday afternoon, colder air will come in, temperatures will drop into the low 20s, and the roads do not just instantly improve. Tuesday cold, highs in the 20s. Wednesday highs in the 20s. Thursday highs in the 20s. Friday, December 5th, highs in the 30s. Back to the 20s and teens. Another storm system maybe to the south. Run it all the way out. And wait for it, the joke, 16 days out. Yeah, that's possible depending on how big of a storm system we have on the next one or so. Okay, so let me just recap for you, because we do have some, you know, I would call it pretty serious weather based on travel. So again, today's snow and nasty roads are fairly isolated to the snow belts, Kalkaska, into the Traverse City area, Ludington, Manistee, down the shoreline, Allegan, Holland, South Haven, into Kalamazoo. On the east side of the state, use your common sense. You're going to be fine, zipping northward, southward. Then escape back, on Saturday. Saturday night, Sunday, not a time period to drive in Michigan. Thank me when you get home and watch the accidents on Sunday on TV. And then cold after that, and yes, winter is here. We're in it to winter it. Maybe I should have some hats made up. Okay, so here we go. My rant. The U.S. model called the GFS. I get this all the time. Hey, how come you show the European model and not the U.S. model? Well, first off, I have to remind all of us that we have a lot of models from NOAA and National Weather Service that are great, that the European model can't touch. I show you the high resolution rapid refresh model. It updates every hour, and it's high resolution, highly accurate for severe weather. I've seen it forecast now tornadic supercell thunderstorms 3 or 4 hours in advance. It does great on lake effect. It covers us for the first 6 to 12 hours. So we got a great model there. Nobody in the world can touch that. Then we go out to a little bit more of a period. We have some pretty good models, one called the North American model. Then we get out to 3 days and longer, and we shift to the European. Why? Aren't we the United States of America? Can't we have the best weather model in the world? We got to go to the European model? Why? So I got fired up this morning. I said, you know what? Us broadcast meteorologists and public meteorologists, we got to start rattling some cages. We got to start asking, what is going on? We need some hats made up. Sorry, it's not political. It's just fun on what's going on in the world right now. We need some hats, t-shirts made up. It's going to be MGFSGA. It doesn't have a good rhyme, but it's let's make the GFS great again. I am going to start that movement. We need to probe, why can't we have the best? Why can't we be saying, and let's look at the GFS model, out 6, 7, 8 days, and it's showing this storm. Let's flip to the European and see if it says the same as our better model. We had that almost, I don't know when, maybe maybe 10 years ago. They're always tweaking the GFS model, and it does do a very good job at hurricane placement in 3 or 4 days out. Rivals the European, but still, why can't we make the GFS model great again? That's my rent, and it's you're paying. You're paying, for every forecast. The government, I saw a study one time, hopefully I'm remembering this correctly, but every round of forecasts across the country, let's say for half of the day, because of the staff, because of the computing power, all this, there's a lot of meteorologists in the National Weather Service because it's 24/7. You don't realize it. It's 24/7, 365 and a quarter days a year, all across the country. It takes bodies. It was at that time like $250,000 for half a day. So you and I pay for this taxpayer with our taxpayer dollars. Let's make the GFS great again. And maybe I'll have some hats and t-shirts printed up, and you can join me. Let's see what we got here. That was it. Hopefully the rant didn't disappoint, but it's an important one. Turd Ferguson, 6966. Sorry, but you need to change your screen name a little bit. It's all right, though. Make long-term forecasting great again. It is great. What it is that I've been doing this professionally since 1989. What it is, and I've explained this to people, is that your wants keep inching out. Like the dream you have where you're running and there's a bear behind you, you could just never make any progress. When I first started in 1989, the accuracy was usable at 3 days, maybe, okay? And then, let's say in the late 90s, it jumped to about 5 days. It's usable now, depending on the weather pattern, it's usable now 7, 8, 9 days, and now people want 2 weeks. We'll get there. I get what you're doing. You're trying to make us always better. But the long-range forecasting is decent. It's just the expectation that now you want to know how much is going to fall at your house in the snowstorm 10 days from now. We're not there yet. We're generically saying this could be notable or not notable, something like that. So there you go. I'll be with you all weekend. You probably never want to listen to me ever again. I apologize if that's the case. Make sure you check MLive.com/weather. Part of the other rant was that a lot of my stories are going behind the paywall, and that's the way it's got to be. The economics of authentic news organizations is very fragile because we used to live with the model of salespeople who go out and get advertisers, and we still need that, unfortunately or fortunately, but we also need you to support us, okay? And other places where you get the weather for free, I want to remind you about something. And my wife and I went over this morning also. This was part of my rant to her, is that if you get something for free, guess what it's worth? Probably worthless. My wife is a great massage therapist of 28 years or something like that, still going strong. And we learned long ago that if somebody buys a gift certificate and she has a person come in and get a massage with a gift certificate and they didn't pay for the massage, even if they can't walk, coming in and they go like, wow, I haven't felt this great in years, going out, they will never pay for a massage because it's been given to them for free and that's what they expect. Okay, so where we've messed up in news, weather, and sports is we started long ago. giving it for free. Now, there are FCC rules for TV stations, and thank God that they still have to provide us with on-air over the antennas, which nobody has anymore. But if we got into a state of emergency, that would be one way that we could still communicate to you. So there's some legal things there, and that's great. But otherwise, this information does not come free, because I have to work all weekend, and I'm going to tell MLive they got to pay me for the week. Obviously, they pay me, but you know what I'm talking about. Hey, there's another additional rant. I told you I was ranty. I didn't know this was coming, but there it is. But now I'm shutting up, and if I don't have a job tomorrow, I'll be looking to put an application in with your business if you think I fit in. Take care and have yourselves a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Check mlive.com/weather through the weekend.